Big Ben, Trafalgar Square, Buckingham Palace, thelastminute.com London Eye are probably all places you want to visit if you came to London. The trouble is, so does everyone else. What if you want to come and get a London experience without all the crowds and see some places that are a little less known? This is the Arc de Triomphe. I'm just kidding, it's the Wellington Arch. It's kind of London's budget version, the Travelodge of arches. But it's still in the heart of London, and I think it's worth a quick photo. So, I've been on the internet to find some lesser known sites of London. I found a list of 10 places that are worth visiting, I think. We'll find out as we go. So this is Regents Canal, and I appear to have found the least beautiful part of it. It seems only perfect for runners, dog walkers, and under the bridge they're probably drug dealers. But from what I've seen online, it looks very great further on.
Hello little guys.
This would be somewhere I wish I had my drone. There is so many boats parked behind it. I'd hate to imagine what the mooring fees are here. It turns out these were all houseboats. So here I was wandering into someone's driveway, and here I stopped for a drink in someone's garden. I decided it best to move on. Now, if I've done my research correctly, this tunnel leads to here. That was a tricky shot to get. This is an area of London known as Little Venice. From what I can tell of the canal here, it's just private mooring. People name their boats the weirdest of things. This one's called Spectra. We've got a Ziggy, Tamar, Jason, we've got a Tilly, Romulus, and Gladstone. To be honest, you hear the name Gladstone and you think Bulldog. That's what comes up in my mind anyway. After that intelligent observation, it was time to move on to lesser known spot number 2. This is Baker Street, the fictional home of Sherlock Holmes, and as you can see it's crazy busy, it's full of tourists, it's very heavily branded and is addressed 221B. And it is literally just a random house, the man never lived here, it's purely fictional. But if you wanted something a little less busy and actually more recognisable, well, this is the place that they use for 221B on BBC's Sherlock. If you've not seen it, you should really watch it, it's a great series.
Wise advice I'll certainly try to bear in mind.
The house is actually 1.1 miles from Baker Street, which I know is a lot of inches to walk just for a house. But the cafe actually exists in real life, and the food's pretty good. As I walked to the next location, I realised I was running into a bit of a problem. You know, at this rate, I'm only going to get to half of the things before sunset. I need to find a quicker form of transport. I am on one of 12,000 of these bikes that are available to rent in London. You can get them from one of 800 different bike stations around the city. Now, officially, they're known as Santander Cycles, but because they were introduced by Boris Johnson when he was the Mayor of London, they're more commonly known as Boris bikes. And I prefer that.
Brilliant, Jeremy, keep going.
More on those later. For now, I've arrived at place number 3. Hyde Park. Yes, I know we've all heard of Hyde Park, but wait. There's a lot of smaller things within the park that you probably don't know so much about. Let's go and find them. The Serpentine, I don't know what it's called. The statue of a man on a horse, the Henry Moore Arch. That's a guy called Albert, that's his memorial. This cool old boathouse. This other cool boathouse. Italian gardens, although for the life of me I don't know what makes them Italian. A metal man called Jenna. Metal Peter Pan called Peter. An empty metal building that I'll have to Google what it is later. Royal Albert Hall. This is a round pond. It is called Round Pond. Geniuses. This thing is called physical energy. Something that's just great about London in general is that there is so much green space. Like Hyde Park is huge, less than half the size of Central Park in New York, but you would have no idea that you're in the center of a city here. Like all you can see around you is green. I can bet, like, other than a palace in the distance, I can't see any buildings. This is Queen Victoria, and this is where she is. Kensington Palace back there, which is the home to Prince William and his kids and his wife. Okay, this is really taking quite a while, and I've only got about 7 hours till sunset, so I need to get cracking. So from Kensington Palace, let's go straight to here. St James's Palace. I also know almost nothing about this place, so I've got my trusty little book. For some reason it's called the Happiness Diary. It was just a cheap notebook. I swear. Apparently it's the most senior palace in London. King Charles had his proclamation there. Here's a quick shot of that. It was commissioned by Henry VIII, so this thing is almost 500 years old, and it's the home to Princess Anne. This was meant to be lesser known spots. I don't know if that's working out so well. Back on the bike to the next location, and while I'm riding, consider subscribing. If not for me, do it for Boris.
It's such a howling success.
Hey look, it's the lastminute.com London Eye. The day was passing quickly, so I returned Boris. Goodbye, trusty bike. And stopped for a 21st century British lunch. Then I hopped on a train to speed things up. After a quick journey, I arrived at spot number 5. No, not Premier Inn. Here. St. Dunstan in the east. Let's see if I have any more information in my happiness diary. It was built in 1100, so it's almost 1,000 years old. It's a church that was destroyed in the Second World War, those pesky Germans, and only the exterior walls have survived. The City of London Corporation reopened it in 1967 as a public garden, and now it's a popular lunch spot for rich bankers and broke YouTubers. So I've just finished lunch, and so much for this being a lesser known place. I think a tour group has just arrived. Okay, so I've made my escape from the tour group. And the next one, which will be number 6, 7, is just around the corner. So my tired little legs are going to take me there now. The Boris bikes. They're calling to me. Later, later, later. This is Leadenhall Market. It was built in the 14th century. It was used in the first Harry Potter film for some scene near Diagon Alley.
Can we find all this in London?
And every business here uses the same historical signage. There's a pub, another pub. If you don't want to pay £8 for a pint, then there's a Wetherspoons across the road. There's a Pizza Express, and among others, an inventively named pen shop. I kind of feel like I should be filming this in black and white. It's so old. And check out this roof. It's awesome. Something I've not mentioned is that since I got back to the UK, I have not got a data plan on my phone. So I've been kind of doing all of this a little bit blind. The good news for people like me without a data plan, there is loads of these throughout the city. These are maps with like index places of everywhere you might need to go in the area. Something particularly crazy about being in this part of the city, in the City of London, the original London, is that there is so much history here. You have buildings like that right next to buildings like that. Now that was built within the last 20 years or so. And I'll Google how old this is. Just something you'll get when you're walking around many parts of London is the old versus new. All these skyscrapers are kind of a clue for where I'm heading next. But first I needed a quick break. And then I had to catch a train. The stations on this line are absolutely insane. Look at the height and the length. Bear in mind, we are many meters underground here. The fact that this is this tall, this far down, is pretty insane. So this next one actually begins in the station. I'm at Canary Wharf right now. What makes this place cool is the architecture. If you like architecture, modern architecture, this place is incredible. That's why I've started it in the station. This is a brand new station. Let me show you what this looks like from the outside. It's kind of like a spaceship, like a legit spaceship. I think it's fair to say I'm a little bit out of place here. Everybody else is in suits, and then, well, there's me in a tie-dye and a hole in the bottom of my shoe. To get a great view of all these buildings, using the train is actually a great way to see it. my camera batteries are dying, so we're down to the GoPro with the amazing audio. I'm so glad I got a bike because I've got all the way here and it's closed. This place looks really cool as well. There's literally a taxi on top of a building. But where there's a problem, there's a solution. Now I was keen, particularly because of the taxi on the roof, to come back and see this place. So I'm here on another day and I'll be honest, I can't quite work out what this place is. So let's go and find out. Okay, so best I can work out, all the containers have been used to make affordable workspaces, commercial spaces, I think some of them living spaces. There's also a restaurant, some cool boats, loads of intriguing sculptures, and of course the taxi. It was well worth coming back to see it. But, back in the present, I was having problems. The sun was setting at a rapid rate, and I needed to reach my last filming location before it went down. I could see the train station I needed over the river, but how was I to get there? Just further along I found a bridge. To save time, I put the bike in the elevator, but when I got across to the other side, I couldn't see any stations to drop off the bike on the map. Running out of time, I decided to pedal all the way back to the station that I got the bike from in the first place. I ended up going through a forest. Over a bridge, I could see the sun setting in the distance. I passed the body of a fallen comrade, and kept going, following the train line on the side. The lights were in my favour, and eventually I made it. Now all I had to do was catch a train to the last location. So I've made it, place number 9, and I'm here for the Olympic Park. Now the reason I was so keen to get here before sunset, which I think I've done, is because I actually filmed the last one, number 10, earlier. So I've literally got until the light goes to film whatever I need here. Okay, now I've got Boris. Let's give you a quick tour of the park.
I feel it's going well.
The velodrome, where one day I should take a Boris bike and go and ride it round. There's a BMX park. I wonder how Boris would perform on that. The Olympic rings. The Copper Box Arena, which I think is for basketball. That thing is called the Orbit. It looks like either broken scaffolding or a helter-skelter. Don't really know what it is. This is the Aquatic Centre. It's a big round building with a big old pool in it. This 60,000 seat behemoth behind me was the Olympic Stadium. Now it's home to West Ham United. Statistically, the 7th best football team in London. Just pointing out facts here. But now that I have, I should probably get out. But before I move on, I should review my wheels for the day. This mighty steed has 24-inch rims, a 3-speed manual gearbox, one singular adjustable seat, 2 brakes, a bell. It has a kickstand, mud flaps, very important in the rain, a bag carrier, not big enough for my bag. Some pros of the Boris: only costs £1.65 for half an hour, which is cheaper than a tube ticket. The flashing lights mean that you can ride it at any time of day. Apparently, puncture-resistant tyres, which means that you can drunkenly ride this into a Wetherspoons where there's broken glass all over the floor and not have to worry at all. Some cons: you don't look cool when you're riding this. The power output isn't great. Currently it runs on a 25-year-old unnecessarily large engine that doesn't really give out enough power and is showing signs of wear and tear. My knee genuinely cracked there. Don't know what else to say really. Boris bike. Rent one. Review done. It had been a long day, so after returning the bike, I grabbed myself some food. And while I'm on the train home, let's go back in time to the last location of the day. But this is a place where you can get a really great view of the city with almost no crowds and for a fraction of the price of the other places. So the London Eye is £45 a ticket, and this is the queue to get in. The Shard is also very expensive and closed until further notice. There is the Sky Garden, which is close to here though. That is free, but you have to be kind of lucky to get a ticket to get in. So instead, this, which is the Monument to the Great Fire of London, is where I like to go to get a view of London. So that's what I'm about to do now. Yes, no crowds. Wow, this is a climb of 311 stairs all the way to the top. As you might have seen in a couple of my previous videos, I am a little bit scared of heights. I may have made a small mistake in looking over the edge just now. A few breathless minutes later, I made it to the top. It's 202 feet tall. That's how far it is from the place where the Great Fire of London started in 1666, in a place called Pudding Lane. There is this protective barrier all around. You are completely safe up here, but it is also possible to literally look down over the edge.
Look, you can see the lastminute.com London Eye in the distance.
And with that, I was done for the day. I hope to see you in another video. Oh, it feels good to be back on the ground again. This video was not sponsored by lastminute.com, Santander or Boris Johnson.